AITA for refusing to sell my house to fund my sister's dream honeymoon to the Maldives? Posted to r/am ithasshole. I, 31M, have been a city bus driver for 8 years. I know that's not glamorous. I know nobody grows up dreaming about driving the same route day after day. But I'm good at it, and I've built a life I'm proud of, including a small 2-bedroom house I bought 3 years ago after saving every penny I could. My sister Emma, 27F, is a travel agent. According to my parents, 59M, 57F, she's basically a miracle worker who helps people reach their dreams and creates journeys people remember forever. They've been saying variations of this since she got the job 5 years ago. Before that, it was her grades, her beauty pageants, her cheerleading, her sorority. Emma has always been the sun, and I've apparently always been a cloud blocking her light. Me? I'm the one who goes in circles. That's been my father's favorite joke since I got this job. How's work, Marcus? Still going in circles. Every family dinner. Every holiday. Every phone call. My mother isn't as direct. She just sighs and changes the subject whenever I mention anything about my job. Or she'll say something like, "That's nice, dear. Did you hear Emma booked a honeymoon package to Bali for that influencer couple?" Emma got engaged 6 months ago to a guy named Kevin, 29M. He seems decent enough. We've only met a few times. He works in IT, takes public transit to work, seems quiet. I thought he was all right. Last weekend, my parents invited me over for dinner. This should have been my first warning sign because they never invite me over unless they need something or want to compare me to Emma. But I went because I'm an idiot who still hopes, even after 31 years, that maybe this time will be different. Dinner started normally. Mom made her usual roast. Dad complained about his back. Emma showed pictures of the resort in the Maldives where she wants to have her honeymoon. Overwater bungalows, private pools, the whole 9 yards. $20,000 for 2 weeks. She was glowing while she described it. Then my father cleared his throat, that sound he makes when he's about to say something he thinks is profound, and looked at me. "Marcus, we need to talk about helping your sister." I felt my stomach drop. Helping her how? Kevin's family isn't, well, they're not contributing much. And your sister deserves a proper honeymoon. A proper start to her marriage. She helps people create memories every single day, and she deserves her own. My mother jumped in. "We've been looking at the numbers, and we think if you sold your house, you could cover most of the honeymoon costs and still have enough left over for a nice apartment somewhere." I actually laughed. I thought they were joking. They weren't joking. "My house," I said slowly. "You want me to sell my house? For a honeymoon?" Emma finally spoke. "Marcus, don't be dramatic. It's just a small house. And think about what I do. I help people reach places they've only dreamed about. I create journeys that people remember for the rest of their lives. You just follow the same route. Every day. The same streets, the same stops. What's the point of having a house if your life isn't going anywhere anyway?" The silence after that was deafening. I stood up. My hands were shaking. 8 years, I wanted to say. 8 years I've driven that route. Do you know how many people I've transported safely? Do you know how many wheelchair users depend on me to lower the ramp gently, to wait for them to secure themselves, to announce every stop clearly? Do you know about Mrs. Patterson, who's 93 and takes my bus to visit her husband's grave every Tuesday? About the kids from the high school who've started calling me Mr. Marcus because I make sure they get home safe? About the blind passenger who once told me I was the only driver who consistently announced every single stop so he'd never miss his? But I didn't say any of that. I couldn't. Because my throat had closed up and my eyes were burning, and all I could think was, after everything, this is what they think of me. "I'm not selling my house," I said. My father's face hardened. "You're being selfish, Marcus. Your sister creates dreams. You just follow a painted line on asphalt." I left. I drove home. Well, took the bus, actually, because I don't drive when I'm this upset. Sat in the back and watched the driver navigate rush hour traffic with the same careful precision I use every day. Thought about how nobody on that bus knew or cared who was driving them. How we're invisible until something goes wrong. I've been home for 3 days now. My phone has 17 missed calls from my parents and 4 texts from Emma calling me selfish and jealous. She said I've always resented her success, and that I should be grateful to contribute to something meaningful for once. I haven't responded. I've just been going to work, driving my route, lowering my ramp for wheelchair users, announcing my stops, and trying not to cry in front of passengers who are just trying to get where they need to go. Read it, Am I the asshole for not wanting to sell my only home so my sister can have a luxury honeymoon? Edit. I'm overwhelmed by the responses. I didn't expect this to get so much attention. To clarify a few things. Yes, my parents have money. They're not wealthy, but they're comfortable. They just don't want to spend it on Emma's honeymoon themselves. No, I'm not going to sell my house. I just needed to know I wasn't crazy for thinking this was unreasonable. Several people have asked if I'm the scapegoat in my family. I had to look up what that meant. I'm still processing. I'll update if anything changes. Update 1. The retired psychologist on Route 47. It's been 2 weeks since my original post. I want to thank everyone who commented. I read every single response, even the ones that made me cry at 2 a.m. You helped me realize I wasn't crazy. That meant more than I can express. Something happened today that I need to share. There's a woman who rides my bus every Wednesday afternoon. Her name is Dr. Evelyn Carter, though she insists I call her Evelyn. She's 71, always wears these bright-colored scarves, and carries a canvas bag filled with library books. She sits in the same seat, third row, window side, and she always thanks me by name when she gets off at her stop near the community center. She's been riding my route for about 3 years. We chat sometimes when the bus isn't crowded. I knew she was retired but didn't know from what until today. The bus was nearly empty, just Evelyn and a teenager with headphones in the back. I was running a few minutes early, so I paused at her stop a moment longer than usual. She didn't get up to leave. "Marcus," she said, "you haven't been yourself lately." I tried to brush it off. "Just tired, Evelyn. Long weeks." She patted the seat across from her, the one facing hers in the priority seating area. "Sit with me for a moment. We're early, and I've been watching you for 2 weeks now. Something's weighing on you." Maybe it was the gentleness in her voice. Maybe it was the fact that she noticed. Maybe I was just tired of pretending everything was fine. But I sat down, and before I knew it, I was telling her everything. The dinner. My parents. Emma. The house. The painted lines on asphalt. All of it. When I finished, Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Marcus, I was a psychologist for 42 years. Retired now, but you never really stop seeing the patterns. May I share what I'm observing?" I nodded. "What you're describing, the comparison, the dismissal, the expectation that you should sacrifice your security for your sister's luxury, this isn't about your worth. It's about your family's dysfunction. You're what we call the scapegoat." Someone mentioned that online, I admitted. I didn't really understand it. In dysfunctional family systems, roles get assigned early. There's often a golden child, the one who can do no wrong, who represents the family's idealized self. And there's a scapegoat, the one who carries the blame, whose achievements are minimized, who exists to make the golden child shine brighter by comparison. She leaned forward. The scapegoat role has nothing to do with the child's actual value. It's about the parents' need to have someone to project their insecurities onto, someone who will accept less so they can give more to the child they've chosen to favor. My chest felt tight. But why? I've tried so hard. That's the cruelest part, Marcus. Trying harder doesn't work because the role isn't assigned based on behavior. You could cure cancer, and they'd find a way to compare it unfavorably to your sister answering emails. She smiled sadly. Your sister didn't choose this dynamic either, but she's benefited from it and may not have developed the empathy to see it clearly. That's not your fault. And it doesn't make your work less valuable. They think my job is meaningless, I said quietly. Just going in circles. Evelyn shook her head firmly. I've ridden buses in this city for 30 years. Do you know what I've seen in that time? I've seen drivers who made me feel invisible, who ignored passengers struggling with wheelchairs, who blew past stops without announcements. And I've seen you, Marcus. I've watched you lower that ramp with patience for passengers who take time to board. I've listened to you announce every stop clearly, even when the bus is empty. I've noticed how you wait the extra moment to make sure elderly passengers are seated before you start moving. She reached over and patted my hand. Your route isn't a circle, Marcus. It's a lifeline. Those painted lines you follow? They're the threads that connect people to their jobs, their doctors, their families. Every person on this bus is going somewhere that matters to them, and you're the one who gets them there safely. That's not nothing. That's everything. I couldn't respond. I just sat there while the teenager in the back scrolled through his phone, oblivious, while the world continued outside the windows. Your parents taught you that you don't matter, Evelyn continued. That's a lie, and you've been carrying it your whole life. The work now is learning to put it down. Not to prove them wrong, That's still letting them set the terms. But to know, deep in your bones, that your value isn't determined by whether they see it. I thanked her. She smiled, gathered her library books, and got off at her stop like always. But before she left, she handed me a card. I don't practice anymore, she said, but I still know good people who do. Therapy isn't about being broken, Marcus. It's about having a witness while you learn a new story about yourself. I've had that card in my wallet for a week now. Tomorrow, I'm going to call. I still haven't spoken to my parents or Emma. The missed calls have slowed down, but the silence feels different now. Not like I'm hiding, more like I'm finally starting to breathe. I'll update again when there's more to share. Update 2. What Kevin discovered. It's been 6 weeks since my last update. A lot has happened. First, I started therapy. Her name is Dr. Yolanda Mitchell, and she specializes in family dysfunction and adult children of narcissistic parents. I've had 4 sessions so far. They're hard. I didn't realize how much I'd been minimizing until someone started asking me to examine it closely. But I'm starting to understand things that never made sense before. Like why I flinch whenever someone praises me, as if waiting for the but. Like why I bought a house, but still feel like I don't deserve to decorate it. Like why I've spent 31 years trying to earn something from people who decided before I was born that I would never be enough. But that's not the main update. The main update is about Kevin. Emma's fiancé, Kevin. The quiet IT guy who takes public transit. I didn't know this until 3 weeks ago, but Kevin rides the bus to work every day. Not my route. He lives on the other side of the city, but the bus system. He's been doing it for years because parking downtown is expensive and he finds driving in traffic stressful. He actually likes his bus drivers. He knows several by name. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain how this happened. Apparently, Kevin's mother showed him my Reddit post. I have no idea how she found it. The internet is wild sometimes, but she recognized the details. Kevin's family isn't close to my parents, but his mother had picked up enough from wedding planning conversations to connect the dots. She showed Kevin because she was appalled. Because she wanted him to know what kind of family dynamic he was marrying into. Kevin called me. I didn't answer at first. I didn't recognize the number. But he left a voicemail asking if we could meet for coffee, saying it was important and that he wasn't angry, just needed to understand something. So I called him back, and we met at a diner near the transit hub downtown. He had my Reddit post pulled up on his phone. "Is this you?" he asked. My heart stopped. But I looked at him, really looked, and I didn't see judgment. I saw concern. Maybe even sadness. "Yeah," I admitted. "That's me." Kevin sat back in the booth and rubbed his face. "Marcus, I had no idea. Emma told me you had a complicated relationship with your parents, but she framed it like you were the difficult one. Like you were jealous of her success and always caused drama at family events." "That's not," I started. "I know," he said. "I can tell now. The things in this post. Marcus, they wanted you to sell your house for our honeymoon. Your house. The place you live. And Emma was okay with that." I couldn't answer. The truth was too heavy. Kevin was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I take the bus every day. The 23 line to downtown. My driver's name is Franklin. He's been driving that route for 12 years. He knows my name. He waited for me once when I was running late, saw me sprinting toward the stop and kept the doors open an extra few seconds. Do you know what that meant to me? I made my interview. I got my job. Because Franklin waited." He looked at me with something I hadn't expected. Respect. "What you do matters, Marcus. Emma books trips for people who can afford vacations. You get people to work. To school. To chemotherapy appointments. To job interviews that change their lives. Without bus drivers, half the people Emma books travel for couldn't even get to the airport." I didn't know what to say. "I'm not accepting the Maldives money," Kevin said firmly. "I'm not accepting any money from your family that comes with these strings attached. And I'm going to talk to Emma. Really talk to her. Because if she can't see what's happening here, if she's so deep in this dynamic that she thinks you're worthless, then I need to know that before I marry her." "Kevin, I don't want to ruin your relationship," I said quickly. He shook his head. "You're not ruining anything. The dynamic that was already there is what's damaging. I'm just finally seeing it clearly." He paused. "I'm going to suggest premarital counseling. I already wanted to do it, but now I'm going to insist. There are things Emma and I need to work through before we commit to forever." We finished our coffee and parted ways. I didn't hear from anyone for almost 2 weeks after that. Then Emma called me. Update 3. The apology I never expected. I almost didn't answer when Emma's name popped up on my phone. But something told me this time was different. Marcus. Her voice was different too. Smaller somehow. Less certain. Yeah. Can we meet? Just us. There's something I need to say, and I don't want to do it over the phone. We met at a park near our childhood home, a spot where we used to play as kids before everything became about competition and comparison. Emma was already there when I arrived, sitting on a bench near the old swing set. She looked like she'd been crying. She didn't waste time with small talk. I've been in counseling with Kevin for 3 weeks, she said. Premarital counseling. He insisted, and at first I was angry about it. I thought he was being dramatic. But then the counselor started asking questions about my family, about how I talked about you, about the Maldives money. She took a shaky breath. Marcus, I said terrible things about you. I didn't even realize how terrible until I heard myself saying them out loud to a stranger. I called you jealous. I said you were resentful of my success. I said your job was meaningless. I used Dad's joke about you going in circles, and I laughed like it was funny instead of cruel. I stayed silent. The counselor asked me something that I couldn't answer. She asked when I had last asked you about your job. Not to compare it to mine, not to make a point, just to listen. And I realized I never have. Not once. In 8 years, Marcus, I have never asked you what it's like to drive a bus. I never asked about your passengers or your route or anything about what you do every single day. Why would you? The words came out before I could stop them. Mom and Dad made it pretty clear it didn't matter. Emma flinched. I know. I know they did. And I just accepted their version. It was easier. If you were the problem, then I didn't have to examine why I got so much praise while you got nothing. If you were jealous, I didn't have to feel guilty about being the favorite. She looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen from her since we were kids, genuine vulnerability. Kevin told me about his bus driver, Franklin. He told me about how Franklin waited for him once, and that's why Kevin got his job. And then he asked me, what journeys do you think Marcus makes possible? What dreams do you think people can reach because he gets them there safely every day? What did you say? I said I didn't know. She wiped her eyes. And then I felt so ashamed that I didn't know. Because you're my brother, and I should know. I should have asked. The anger I'd been carrying for weeks, maybe years, didn't disappear. But something in it shifted. Made room for something else. The travel I book is for people who can afford it, Emma continued. Luxury resorts, bucket list destinations, honeymoons. But you drive people who can't afford my dream trips. You drive people whose only journey that day might be getting to work or getting home. And that journey matters. It matters so much, and I never let myself see it because seeing it would have meant seeing how wrong Mom and Dad were about you. About us. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Kevin and I are getting married next month. Here, locally. A small ceremony at the Botanical Garden. No Maldives. No $20,000 honeymoon. We're doing a road trip up the coast instead, visiting small towns, staying at bed and breakfasts. She handed me the paper. This is my apology. I wrote it down because I wanted to get it right. I unfolded it. It was a letter, 2 pages in her handwriting, saying everything she'd just told me and more. Details. Specific memories of times she'd let our parents diminish me while she stayed silent. Specific commitments to do better. At the end, she'd written, I'm starting to value transportation workers in my business. I'm learning about accessible travel, accommodations for people with wheelchairs, sensory considerations for neurodivergent travelers, partnerships with disability advocacy groups. I want to help more people travel, not just wealthy people. I want to be someone you'd be proud to call your sister. I don't know if you can forgive me, Emma said. I wouldn't blame you if you couldn't. But I needed you to know that I see it now. I see what they did to you. I see what I did. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, terribly sorry. I didn't respond right away. I read the letter again. Thought about Evelyn on the bus, about Dr. Mitchell in her quiet office, about Kevin defending bus drivers he'd never met. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said honestly. I'm working through a lot. But I believe that you mean this. And that's a start. Emma nodded, tears streaming down her face. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. Final update, the wedding and what came after. 3 months have passed since that conversation in the park. Emma and Kevin got married 2 weeks ago. It was a small ceremony, maybe 50 people, at the botanical garden near downtown. The flowers were wild and imperfect and beautiful. Emma wore a simple dress she found at a vintage shop. Kevin cried when he saw her walk down the aisle. I was there. Not as a groomsman or anything official, we're still rebuilding, but I was there. During the reception, Emma gave a speech. She thanked Kevin's family for raising such a thoughtful man. She thanked her friends for their support. And then she said, "I want to thank my brother, Marcus. Many of you don't know this, but Marcus is a city bus driver. For 8 years, he's driven the same route, making sure people get where they need to go safely. I used to think that wasn't very impressive. I used to think that my job, booking dream vacations, was more important." The room was quiet. I felt my face getting hot. But I've learned something this year. I've learned that the journeys I book begin with drivers like Marcus. Every person who catches a flight to a beach vacation had to get to the airport. Every family road trip starts with someone getting to work to earn the money for that trip. The glamorous journeys I sell are built on the everyday journeys that people like my brother make possible. She looked directly at me. "Marcus, you don't just drive in circles. You hold communities together. You help disabled passengers reach places they couldn't reach without you. You get kids to school and workers to jobs and patients to hospitals. You make everyday journeys possible for people who can't afford my dream trips. And I'm so sorry it took me this long to say, thank you. Thank you for what you do." The applause was loud. I didn't know what to do with myself. But Kevin's grandmother, a tiny woman named Ruth who uses a wheelchair, rolled over to me afterward and grabbed my hand. "I ride the bus every week," she said. "Good drivers like you are the reason I still have independence. Don't ever let anyone tell you it doesn't matter." I hugged her. I couldn't help it. As for my parents, they were at the wedding. They're still processing everything. Kevin and Emma have set boundaries with them. No more comparisons, no more scapegoating, no more financial expectations that involve me sacrificing my security. My parents are unhappy about it. They think Emma has been poisoned against them, and that I'm somehow to blame. But for the first time in my life, it doesn't matter what they think. I'm still driving my route. Still lowering the ramp for wheelchair users, still announcing every stop, still waiting that extra moment for elderly passengers to sit down. Mrs. Patterson still takes my bus to visit her husband's grave every Tuesday. The high school kids still call me Mr. Marcus. Evelyn still rides every Wednesday with her canvas bag of library books. Last week, a new passenger, a woman in a motorized wheelchair, told me I was the first bus driver who didn't make her feel like a burden. She said I announced the stop for the Disability Services Center clearly enough that she didn't have to worry about missing it. She said it might seem like a small thing to me, but it wasn't small to her. I told her it didn't seem small to me at all. Emma texts me now. Not every day, but regularly. She asks about my passengers. She tells me about the accessible travel packages she's developing. Last month, she partnered with a disability advocacy organization to create sensory-friendly vacation guides. She sent me the first draft and asked for my feedback, whether the transportation sections were realistic, whether she'd missed anything about what disabled travelers need from drivers. I gave her notes. She used all of them. I don't know if my parents will ever understand. Dr. Mitchell says that's not something I can control, and chasing their approval will only hurt me. She says my job is to build a life that feels meaningful to me, regardless of whether they validate it. And I have a house that's mine. I have a job that matters, not because everyone recognizes it, but because I know the lives I touch every single day. I have a sister who's learning to see me. I have passengers who know my name. I have a route that isn't a circle at all. It's a web of connections, a daily act of service, a small but essential thread in the fabric of a city that wouldn't function without people like me. That's not nothing. That's everything. Final edit. To everyone who commented on my original post, thank you. You helped me see that I wasn't crazy, that I deserved better, that my work had value even when my family couldn't see it. To anyone else out there who feels invisible in their family, who has been told that their contributions don't matter, who has been the scapegoat for someone else's dysfunction, you matter. Your work matters. The world is held together by people doing essential jobs that never make headlines. Don't sell your house for someone else's dream vacation. Build your own life. You deserve it.